Patrick.
This could be every year almost. You know, we get a review unit of an analog product.
Do you want that thing so you can open it?
Oh, I want that thing. Give me that thing, Ian. Give it to me now.
This box is going to show off my sweaty hands.
Oh, okay, that's disgusting, but all right, that's unfortunate.
It is.
Well, we got a review Analogue Duo, and we both ordered one as well. So
yeah, we both ordered one.
This guy's got a free. We always order this shit because we love the quality of analog products. And I'll put up.
Jesus, you sound so fucking silly there.
Why? We order every single thing they make.
No, I have ordered the Pocket in this. Okay. I order what makes sense.
You probably would have got the Mega SG if you didn't get a review one. No,
maybe not.
Okay, I would have got the Super NT if I.
Here's my statement on what I buy analog products for. If I'm going to emulate, I'm just going to emulate somewhere else. I don't have a Genesis collection.
Okay,
I have an actual physical portable collection and a physical PC Engine.
Well,
collection.
tried and true quality.
Yes, it is.
Kevtris, who does most of these cores, is a genius. I've known him for a long time, and we'll get to that. And I went over to Ian's. The embargo lifted on the 11th yesterday, and form factor of a PC Engine / TurboGrafx Duo, right here, available in white and black. It's cute. It's a little bit smaller than the real one, right? Slightly.
Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to look for mine. I can't find. Oh, it's on the top. Yeah, it's like 15%, 20% smaller. It looks like something like that. It doesn't have a pop open tray for the CD. It has what does they call it? Front loading.
Yeah.
Front loading. Hue card in the front. In the back, you have your HDMI out. You have 2 USBs for controllers or other stuff. You have your little memory card slot for firmware upgrades and maybe
firmware
other
upgrades.
Stuff.
You can also put
save states.
You can put that doesn't support save states yet.
Okay.
You can put like screenshots on there and use that as like it'll recognize it as like in the library. So when you put a game in, it'll bring up a little screen that shows you a shot of the game, who developed it, et cetera, et cetera.
The side has your PC Engine input, there / Turbo Duo input. You get a nice volume control like the old CD consoles for a 1/8 out, and you get what's this button? Ian?
I believe that's
pairing?
Bluetooth pairing.
You get a pairing button for controllers.
So
there you go.
Yeah, looks nice. Has a decent weight to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it's not heavy, but it's got a decent weight. It feels sturdy. I have 2 minor gripes with the design. 3. I don't know why the controller port is on the left-hand side. Drives me nuts. I've said it before.
Well, I always surmised that there wouldn't be room in the front, and there really is not a lot of room in the front when you look at it. There's an eject button and power. There really isn't. That'd be a bigger console.
My second. My biggest complaint, and this remains to be seen, it's auto feed loader for the CD.
Yeah,
it's one more part to break. Yeah. It's nice, it's fine. The machine is sleek, but it's one more part to potentially break. And you have to understand, I'm reviewing this machine with a critical eye because this, to me, is the most important one they've put out so far.
For you?
Well, for me, but also in terms of what's on the market. You can get, this is the first one that's not just an expensive, fancy version of a system that's already out. It's actually cheaper than versions of this system that you can buy right now, and those aren't capable.
Ones, yeah.
No, a regular PC Engine Duo from a Duo R from Japan is going to run you about $250. Sure. A Turbo Duo in the US right now is not going to be $250. That's probably $350.
More than that, I think.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. These do more and are cheaper than what's already out there.
Okay, that's what you mean.
Yes. So
in terms of importance, it's getting a product that you're filling a void and bringing the price down.
Yeah, there are Nintendos, Genesis, Super Nintendos everywhere and all sorts of ways to play them. You pay for a fancy version of that from Analog because it's going to give you a nice picture, but it's obviously more expensive. Sure. This is cheaper than just going out and buying the original.
Sure.
So that, I think, is important. So the compatibility and the reliability are going to be very important to me. I think it would have been smarter to just do a flip open top.
Okay.
And lastly, this is just a really small thing, but I was really hoping that this was actually going to be clear. And
the glass, you can see it spin?
And I wanted to see the CD spin.
Yeah, it's dark. I'm sure people might be able to mod them.
But yeah, the side thing, It's just a thing I'm weird about. It's fine.
Did you use mostly the Bluetooth controller? We actually got a couple of the 8-bit Do controllers.
I did use this, but I always go back to my Avenue 6 pads because I just love the Avenue 6 pad. This is a great controller, though.
It feels like a turbo controller.
For a simple controller, it fits nicely in the hand. I like it. I do like it.
There's no turbo switches. Instead, there's turbo buttons for 1 and 2 instead.
Which is like the PC Engine style.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing where it's like, it's not exactly the same, but most games you don't need to adjust that. Some you do.
The Avenue 6 actually does have the switches, but the
Yes.
original PC Engine controller I don't think does. I think it just has turbo buttons. At least one version of it.
The white one, I think, has switches.
I will
for
look.
sure. So either way, though, the D-pad feels like a turbo D-pad. The buttons feel exactly. Even the run and select buttons even have that rubbery feel.
Yes. Yeah.
So like it feels good, and you can do a USB connection as well without that.
That's
so
the 8-bit Do one.
so anyway, so I went over to Ian's. We put this through our weird paces that we'll get to. And before we get into compatibility, other reviewers reportedly had compatibility issues with some games, and there's already a 1.1 firmware update within less than a day and a half after release. There's a 1.1 update to fix some compatibility issues, so the team was already on it there for you.
Real quickly, just to say, there are some Japanese controllers with the switches and some without.
Okay.
So it could have been both. The system does... where was I going with this?
Hue cards.
Hue cards. So Hue cards, super graphics, and then all of the CD versions, because it has basically the system cards and the arcade card it detects
the BIOS has the arcade and system cards that would run you now. What is the arcade card cost?
I actually think it's come down in price a little bit. The Japanese one was always cheaper, but it's got to be at least $100.
It used to be 30 when I bought mine. My orange one was like $30 back in the day. So there you go. So you're talking about a value potentially, depending upon if you get to find a CD or even a regular Turbo Duo, and then you get the arcade card. You're saving $100 to $200 buying this.
That's my point.
And we're not even talking about modding, even before modding. You're saving hundreds of dollars. That's not me trying to market this. That's just the truth.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I think this one's important. It's not just a fancy version. It's a viable, cheap alternative to what's out there, which is a first for an analog product.
Yes. Unless something weird happens in the future where you can't find a Super Nintendo or, something like that.
So that's why I was very, very excited about this one. So then we jumped right into some compatibility testing.
Yeah, we put it through its weird paces.
We obviously tried arcade card games. I think the first game I put in there was Sapphire.
Yes. We played some unlicensed games like Street Fighter 2.
Game Express is interesting. We did want to try an unlicensed game. Street Fighter 2 is the one we played, and it fired up no problem. It was fine. Game Express, however, did some CD games. And I also have other Game Express card games that I tried that worked. Just the normal ones.
So we had literally one real compatibility issue. One.
And that was I have a Games Express Mahjong game on CD. This has always been interesting to me. They did it with a couple other CD games. For a system that can play Burns, if you put this CD into the drive and you just try to fire it up, it'll say it's not supported.
Sure.
So what this has is it has like its own key crack that you put into the Hue card slot, and then and what you do is you load it up, and then you press start, and then it boots the CD.
So basically, there's like something in the BIOS that's missing on the CD that probably needs to run that this key takes care of. Because these are basically pirated games.
Yes,
these Express games.
They're pirate games. Yeah. So it will load up the game key. It'll load up the game key. You get the picture of the blonde woman in an American flag bikini.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, and it says, press start. It says set disk and press start to run. So then you put the disk in and you press run and it boots it up. It doesn't boot it up.
But at some point, there'll probably be an upgrade that you can play it.
Yes.
So, the other thing was I didn't realize I'm going to try this. I'm a fucking weirdo. The CD plus G karaoke soundtrack CD that came with the original big box, which you can't even see, it's covered by plush, big box turbo CD set. I didn't realize that we had to put a system card in to get that to run. It's not that CD plus G is not in the BIOS on the Duo, but you have to put the card in. So that's it. That's it. Everything else we ran.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
There was there's a System 1.1 update that came out today that apparently solves at least some of the compatibility issues that were discussed in other videos. So yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, let's talk about the filters. The filters were very impressive.
Filters were nice. So I normally don't like artificial scan lines. I normally don't like filters. Which is not to say that I think it's more pure or better to run it without a filter in sharp mode, because when you do that, you're also not getting a lot of the graphical effect that was, part of the art. Scan lines dither and they make things look softer.
I was going to say the TurboGrafx art, not that it benefits more than the NES, but it seems like an essential part of the experience to get some of these scan lines in for some of these games.
I think the more you get out of simplistic 8-bit graphics, the more having something that mimics the original screen is important. Turbo, absolutely. Genesis, definitely Genesis, because there are tricks that the Genesis uses that just don't really register unless you've got scan lines mixed in there.
Okay.
Super Nintendo. So, I really started to like the filters when they put them on the Pocket. They used a super high-res screen on the Pocket to the point where they can actually draw out the grids, and it looks like a dot matrix display.
Sure.
The work they did with the Game Gear screen and the GBA screen and the GBC screen, the fact that you can forget and think you're looking at the actual screen.
Yes.
The Game Gear one is hilarious because it's not a great screen, but you can play it on something that looks just like it if you want to.
You want that crappy Game Gear look? You can get it on the Pocket.
So this is interesting, the PC, the Analogue Duo, because my TV actually recognizes it as a Pocket.
Which means the OS environment is probably the Pocket.
Analog OS is now universal. And it's funny because there are, and I did not try them on my TV, but there are also PC Engine LT. And Turbo Express filters. So this is obviously what is going to be running basically the games on the Duo. And when they announced the Duo, not the Duo updates, the Pocket updates, mid-November, that they're doing 2 in December, one of the announcements was LT and Express filters coming to the Pocket. So now they're also on consoles. Initially, when the Pocket came out, you could not do filters on the TV.
Gotcha.
I believe they have fixed that. And the big thing that
through the what the hell is the device called? The dock. Yeah.
The big thing, side note, filters are now going to be usable across all the open FPGA stuff on the Pocket as of the final update that's coming in. Well, the last update of this year coming in December.
Okay.
That's huge. People always were complaining that, like, if you were using open FPGA stuff and ROMs, you couldn't use the filters. You can now. So the big filter they added for TV use to this one is a Trinitron filter.
That's right.
And it's very customizable. You can have a fine mesh aperture, coarse mesh aperture, I think is part of specifically how a Trinitron looks, but you can get rid of that entirely and just do scan lines.
Did we just do scan lines?
I just did straight scan lines. I have been messing with the Trinitron filter and I like it, but I think I might like just the scan lines better.
I never had a Trinitron TV or monitor, so
it's not something I'm chasing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be glued for that look, but it's cool that they have it.
It is. And if you go into the settings for it, you can get that aperture off of there, which I think is what makes a Trinitron screen look specifically like it does.
Okay.
You can do just scan lines. You can change the softness of the scan lines, and basically, customize it how you see fit. It may not have the most options in terms of artificial scanline generation, but the options there were good enough for me. And as I've said, I've hated artificial scanlines since they started including them. I never put them on like any of those old retro compilations. I don't turn them off on this. It really looks fantastic. It looks great.
And of course, you're never going to appeal to any. There's like hardcore people into like scan lines and the look, but for like 95% of people, I think the options here, I'll be fine. Like I would just put on the standard scan lines and I'd be fine. Like
They
I
make
said.
the games look better and they're unobtrusive. That's the other.
Yes.
That's
You
the
don't
main
notice
thing.
them after a while. You don't notice them.
Artificial scan lines were always obtrusive to me. It's like I'm clearly playing this with an artificial scan line filter.
Yeah.
That I played the game for 5 minutes and I don't notice
We
it.
played Bond 3 CD. It looked great. We played even crappy ass Battle Royale and it looked good. You know, we put it through its paces.
Yeah, we did. Played quite a bit. And
we
I've
played. Get those ones next to that crappy Sapphire right there on the top there. We played Bikini Babes. I
yeah.
played.
Yep.
Okay, so this one we couldn't get working because we had to put in a system card, but we played good old Bikini Girls. We played that and that played fine, which somehow cost $150 somehow back when they came out with this, and it wasn't as titillating as you would think for that much money.
No, the pictures were awful.
It's awful. It's not even a game I should do a review of that. And we played our newfound love, which I'm going to review next summer, Camp California.
Oh yeah, I wanna dive deeper into Camp California.
That's definitely an NES Punk video next summer.
I have been playing it constantly for 2 weeks. Pretty much every day after work, I sit down and I play a few games on there. I've noticed the response on the 8-bit DO controller feels pretty good. I don't know a whole lot about response. However, I do prefer to play it with a wired controller. And I think I'm always going to.
This is where we're used to. Did you notice any response time between that and Bluetooth, or not really?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that it was spot on. It was fine. But I do play it with a wired controller, so I cannot blame the wireless controller when I play something poorly.
So this gives an Ian thumbs up recommendation?
Yeah, no, I like it.
Is there anything missing like that you would have liked? Besides the controller port on the front? And the CD pop.
I would like to know if save states are going to become possible and when those might come.
Are they in the pocket for some of the systems?
They're on the pocket for all the systems right now. All the cartridge-based systems that it can play.
I would then think eventually it would be added.
Well, I wonder what the situation is with CD-ROM and save state.
It's still a ROM.
Right.
So there's no difference. It's just how you get the ROM on the console.
Sure. No, I mean,
we can ask the guy. You know,
it's what I wanted it to be. It's easy, it's simple. I plug it in, and I have games. And like I said, I know for a while people were buying these, and they were all excited about like hacking and cracking them.
Sure. And
the Pocket is great for that. The Pocket is, like we've said before, kind of Analogue's, whether they're saying it outright or not. It's their competition with the Mister. That device can do all this stuff, but because it's small, it's portable, you can dock it.
You can dock it to a TV
it can
still.
easily be like an all-in-one FPGA station.
And then people can crack it and put ROMs on it if they want.
So buy that, or if you're going to emulate, buy a Mister. You've got options. You can get a Mister, you can get a Pocket. There is no longer with Mister and Open FPGA where it is, there's no longer a reason to necessarily buy one of these unless you have a collection you want to play on it.
And this is your future. 50 years from now, you'll be using this and not your. You have to recap my fucking Turbo Duo that I already got recapped once before.
My PC Engine still works, but I'm honestly surprised that it works every time I turn it on. It's reliable. I've opened it and I've cleaned it before and things like that, but it's an old CD-based system, which is why I'm so happy about this. Is that it's a genuine... It's a need in the retro gaming community if you have physical hardware and you want to play... Or if you have physical games and you want to play them.
Yeah, this is obviously a recommend. This is probably the product, the Analogue product we most look forward to out of everything. When this was first announced, we were like, this is ridiculous.
Tough. The Pocket and this have both had me very excited.
I know you don't like me patting Analogue on the back too much. I am happy that they took the risk on a product like this. And
me too.
Well enough. Because it sold out now finally. Like it wasn't selling out until it came out. Now it's sold out.
You can pat Analogue on the back. Analogue's great. I'm just not going to, I just don't want to seem like I'm prostrating myself in front of them.
They're not paying us.
No, I know.
We're allowed to say we like shit.
Yes, and I do like it.
I'm very happy they did this. And I have talked to the founder of Analogue in the past, and this was like a labor of love thing.
It's a risk.
Because they could have took a bath on this.
Yeah, I mean
they could have took a bath on this more than anything else.
When we got this, you could still order.
You can still order it, both of them.
Well, hold on.
right?
When we got this, you could still order Duos that would ship in December.
Yeah.
They did finally get through all of that. That has changed. And
Initial
as I said, as this stuff started coming out, and when they sent that, like, I think the email that said when it was shipping,
Yes,
it regenerated a little bit of buzz. That shipment did sell out. They do have more shipping in February.
So they were planning for another run, but still, like, usually it's like sold out in a day or two on a lot of stuff.
I do have to say this, and this may surprise you, but I really do have to compliment Analogue on how they've been improving their pre-order process, or at least seeming like they have. They know people want it. They know people don't want to wait forever in between. They've been very good, I think, about the Pocket.
And they've been better on marketing.
The Pocket came, I mean, after the Pocket finally got into people's hands and all that stuff, they've done the glow-in-the-dark limiteds. They've done the translucent limiteds. They did the solid color ones. Now, the glow-in-the-dark sold out quick, but they shipped them 3 days after people ordered them. Mm-hmm. The translucents were the same way. And they did a bunch of different colors. The solids were the same way. The first batch shipped in... all the solid colors shipped again 3 days after. And two of the colors, pink and orange, hung around until midday. I mean, I ended up getting a pink one and selling my friend my white one because he texted me at like 12:30 that afternoon. And then they just put up black and white pockets again yesterday. And as of like 4 p.m. when I checked, you could still pre-order them. And those are shipping in February. So they've been a lot better about meeting demand.
So obviously the pandemic production problems are over, and they're doing, I think, a better job of maybe partitioning out production runs with their partners in order to keep maybe a smaller but steadier stream as they go, versus like you have a chance to buy it now or else it's next year. Like, obviously the pandemic, you couldn't help some of that.
I think the 64 is going to do gangbusters for them.
I was gonna get to that.
But I think they've realized also that the Pocket can really be kind of positioned as their flagship system because of what it can do.
Because all the multiple systems does 7, 8 systems.
And as they don't even really describe that, but as more and more people get out there and talk about the Pocket and what it can do, I think that's kind of what they're positioning the Pocket as.
I'm going to close on this. The N64, if it's this quality, with this sort of scan lines and replication and this form of accuracy, it will do, I think, better than potentially any console that came before, maybe besides the Pocket. I think it has a chance to be better than the Mini NT, which they never made a huge amount of those, and the Mega SG and the Super NT, because of the market now and the aging. The aging is perfect.
Yes.
Everyone that grew up with it, everyone that was born in, say, 1990 is around 30 years old. It's like the perfect age where they want to rediscover it. And again, there is no good way to go back, an easy way to play the N64 stuff. There's no Hyperkin version. There's no emulation console. The Hyperkin promised an emulation console 9 years ago, it feels like, and it's never happening because the emulation never got to the point where you can do it. And so I think the N64 console is going to come out, and I think it's going to be one of those things where, not that it's going to reinvigorate interest necessarily in N64, but I think it's the perfect timing for that, and the fact that there hasn't been a product at all for that market at all.
So that's what I think about it too. I agree with you 100%. The timing, they're hitting that sweet spot of nostalgia for the people who were kids when they got it. It is the Analog product I have probably been the least excited about, but I understand that it's going to be a very, very big product for them. But after they do that one, and this is also where I go back to, I think, the Pocket kind of being their flagship system, they don't have really another big announcement after. I mean, I'm not saying never, but it's getting considerably harder for them to do anything else beyond the 64. There's not a lot left that they need to redo.
PlayStation, Saturn, Dreamcast. I
just feel like that's less
cartridge
imperative.
is done. Obviously,
yes,
cartridge is done for the most part.
So, but I don't think a lot of that can do FPGA. Like, people say you can't. Like, PlayStation is about as far as they think you can take FPGA right now.
People never thought they'd do an N64 FPGA.
Sure.
And now the Mr. Community has one, and now you're going to have a commercial-ready product come out.
My point is, with the Pocket, they can constantly refresh it with new colors, and they can advertise it in
Correct.
different ways because of what it can do. It's not a set in stone system that
Correct.
only shows off one era.
I think we're going to see after N64, we'll see more consoles.
I'd like to. I just
I think this and the N64 out of all of them accomplish a lot of problems that existed between both of them. I do, and because the N64, you have to mod one still, or you get an aftermarket device, the same sort of thing. And N64s aren't as cheap as they used to be either. They're not. So there's a lot of things going on with that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And thanks Analogue for the review copy.
Yes, it's been well enjoyed.
I'm going to steal one of the controllers from Ian because I do love these controllers. I think they're adorable.
They're great.
I want to use it for PC gaming actually because it's really cute.
Oh, and I was an idiot. That's the core color scheme.
Oh yeah, the PC Engine Core.
The core color scheme. Yeah.
It was great. Yeah, thanks Ian.
Well, no, because it does look like Avenue 6, but I'm like, why wouldn't they just make it a 6-button controller?
Yeah, there's no 6-button solution yet for this.
No, but I have not checked it out. I do think since 8BitDo controllers are just 8-bit or just Bluetooth controllers,
Sure.
you could probably use like a Sega 6-button controller.
All right, we went long on that one. Ian loved it.